Welcome to our watercolor lesson for the year. We are going to need the following materials. You need your watercolor set. You're going to need to get a paper towel. The paintbrush is already inside your watercolor set. You need a pencil. You need your one of your large pieces of white construction paper. I'm going to be using a smaller one to demonstrate, and I'm going to show you Sammy's workspace so I can show you his. Hey Sam, how's it going?
Hey.
Okay, so I have Sam here. There's his large white construction piece of paper. This is actually a watercolor paper, and this is something that I haven't used before. So I'm gonna see how well it works. So this is my first time using watercolor paper. This is gonna be Sammy's first time as well. I'm gonna go over what we're gonna be trying to do. So when we're painting with watercolors on a surface that's wet or damp, the colors can run together really easily. So we're going to be using our watercolors in order to blend them together, okay? So we are going to be fading our colors almost together, okay? So that's kind of the look that we're gonna get. So we're gonna be doing a wet on wet technique, which means we're gonna get the paper really wet first, and then we're going to be using the paint to color it in. Okay, but first we're going to draw the image. So we're going to draw a very, very simple scenery. And I'm going to show you the scene that we're going to do. We're going to be using a horizon line right here. We've done a horizon line before. So we're going to draw a horizon line. This time we're going to draw the horizon line about halfway down the paper so that we have about half the space up above to draw and half the space down below. We're going to draw some hills in the background above our horizon, and then below our horizon we're going to be drawing some trees, some fall trees, and just a couple little shrubs in the front, just like that. So get your pencil out and we're going to start the directed drawing part, okay? So let's do our horizon line. So I want you to come about halfway up your paper, just like this. So Sam, go ahead and measure with your hand about halfway up the paper. And we're just going to lightly draw a horizon line going across, about halfway, okay? Just like that.
I need a different pencil.
Go ahead. Is it not working very well on that?
No.
Okay. All right, I'm going to erase this part right here. All right, so I have my horizon line here. And as Sammy's getting his pencil, I'm just going to go over this with you. Just to keep in mind, because we're trying something new here. Number one, always try your best. Number two, if you get frustrated, I want you to take a deep breath, count to 10, take another deep breath, and come back and try it again. Number three, everyone's art will turn out differently. Your artwork is uniquely yours. And number four, art is not perfect. So keep these things in mind as we try this new technique, and let's see how it works out for us, okay? So we have our horizon line drawn in, and up above our horizon line, we are going to do a couple layers of hills, okay? So and our hills are gonna be quite big. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Grab your pencil. And watch me first, Sam. I'm just going to do some really, really, really simple hills. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4.
Didn't we already do it?
That comes about to here for me.
Didn't we just do in our lesson like this?
Okay, so honey, I'm going to have that be your top layer because we're going to have a sky up here. Okay? So then you're going to do another layer of hills below that. Okay, so I just told Sam, because Sam did his first hills like up here, so I want there to be enough room for a sky. So I'm going to tell Sam, so I want you to see, in case you did this, I want you to see the spacing. So his first set of hills came way up here, and then this is the sky. I'm going to tell him now he's going to do another set of hills down below, okay? So go ahead and do your second set of hills down below. If you only went a little way up and you have enough room to do another set of hills and then a sky behind it, go ahead and do that. And they don't need to be They don't need to be the same, it doesn't have to have the same amount of humps in your 2 rows of hills, okay? Very nice, Sam, that looks beautiful. All right, now we're gonna do 2 trees off to the side right here, and we're gonna do fall trees. So do fall trees usually have a bunch of leaves on them, or have the leaves usually fallen off?
Falling off.
They've fallen off. So we're just gonna do some bare trees. So I'm gonna come down, I'm gonna start by coming up my trunk like this on both of my sides, coming up my trunk, and now I'm gonna overlap where my hills are. And that's okay. So let's just do the overlapping first, if over your horizon line, and then we can erase the lines inside the tree afterwards, okay? So here we could just have some branches coming out, some branches coming out of the branches like this. Here's one of mine.
One leaf.
Okay. Now we're going to do really big details again because we're going to be doing watercolor. So Sammy, if you do want that leaf to show, you're going to have that leaf a lot bigger in order for it to be distinguished, okay? But I'm totally cool with that. Okay, so I have one branch coming out. I'm going to have another one coming out this way. Maybe a bigger one like this. So have your branches coming out however you'd like. And even you could even have a branch going off the page if you wanted to over here. And then start erasing. We're drawing lightly like we always do when we sketch something in before we're going to do our coloring, our painting in, and we're just doing it lightly. That way we can come back and we can erase the lines that are inside of our tree. Okay, so I have this tree right here. Your tree is going to turn out however you'd like it. Okay, can you hang on a second and follow my directions, please?
No, I'm doing the trees.
So we're doing 2 trees, one on each side. Okay. So I'd like everyone to just go at the speed where I'm going. If that means you just stop and wait until we're caught up to you, that's fine.
Or fast forward.
Or you can fast forward, but just stay with me so that you don't start doing something that's not in the directions of what the art lesson is. So you've done a tree off to the left. Go ahead and erase any of the lines that are inside of the tree. And now we're going to do a tree going off to the right. Okay, so you can come up again. And you can have your branches going in all sorts of directions. Okay, this is your creative moment. You get to have it, the branches be however your imagination sees them. Okay, so I just did 2 different trees and now I'm going to erase what's in the background. So if you had like your horizon line, Sammy, right here, you can erase it. That's inside your tree. Okay. Awesome. All right, and the last thing we're going to draw is some shrubs.
That's all? And then art lesson's over?
No, we're gonna watercolor.
I thought this was gonna be 2 parts.
So it's gonna be a 2-part lesson because in the end, then we are going to we're gonna Sharpie at the end. Okay. Okay.
No.
Now just a couple little shrubs in between the trees. Just really, really lightly draw them in. I didn't draw them in too dark. Just a couple, not too many. Beautiful, Sam. Okay, So I have my horizon line. I have 2 sets of hills, rolling hills. I have a sky. I have my shrubs. I have the ground right here and my trees, okay? All right, are you ready to get started on the watercolors?
Yes.
All right,
What's
so
the longest 5 minutes of your life?
that was actually 10 minutes.
Oh.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to be creating a very wet paper. So you're going to grab your paintbrush. You're going to grab your water. Oh, did I tell you to get a water cup? I don't know if I said that in the beginning. If you don't have a water cup, press pause, go get a water cup. Make sure you have your either napkin or your paper towel. And you're going to take your brush. You're not going to use any paint right now. You're going to take your brush and you're just going to paint water all over.
Wouldn't the better idea just...
Don't pour it. No, don't pour it. Just grab it with the brush and just start going all over.
Can you have thicker brushes?
You know, that's a really good idea. If you want, the brushes that you received with the material handout for the October lessons, you can go grab that brush. So hang on a second, Sam. I'm going to go grab those brushes for you and I. Sorry about that, guys. All right, and if you have even bigger brushes at home that you want to use to pick up the water for this, go ahead and use those bigger brushes. Okay, so I'm going to use a bigger brush from at home.
It's working.
Okay, so grab the water. You can use the brush that came with the art materials from October and just get your paper really, really wet. Your whole paper. All over. Really, really wet.
Not too wet.
Not soaking wet. Don't pour the water all over. We're going to paint the water. All over. And you can go, it might be wise to do it in like a methodical order where you start at the top and you go all the way down the right-hand side. And then you go all the way down right next to the right-hand side. That's kind of what I'm doing. So what I'm doing to make sure that I have enough water is I'm making sure that I hit every area. So I'm kind of doing it in an order. So I went all the way down the right-hand side, came over a little bit more towards the left and came all the way down, came over a little bit more and came all the way down. Just kind of redoing it. I'm getting my paper really wet. This might take a little bit longer if your paintbrush is on the smaller side, but you have a paintbrush from school that was given to you, okay? That you can use. Okay, so I've kind of done it twice. I've gone over my paper twice. How about you, Sam?
Nope, just once.
Just once? Okay.
I'm not even done.
No, that's okay. Go ahead and keep going on that.
Clear paint.
You about done? Pause the video if you're not done getting your paper all wet, and then you can come back and press play once your paper's all wet.
Also fast forward if it is a little wet. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna start with the very back of our hills, okay? So we're gonna paint the back row of our hills a very, very light gray. So here's our light gray right here. So get your light gray nice and wet. You can use whatever brush you have, and you're going to paint the back. Oh, mine's not really coming out. That is really light. I'm not really seeing that very well. I say, are you seeing it?
Not really.
Okay, let's go to our black. Let's see what happens when we dip into our black. There we go. Okay, now look, do you see how it's running, Sam? Look at how it's running on my paper.
So slow. He
So,
can't run a marathon.
so we are going to have it run. You can go over your trees. Oh, it's really getting runny. This is awesome. Okay, so
Too runny?
no, this is great.
Look.
Yeah, no, keep loading it up.
No, it's like running all over the place, including the places where our mountains are.
Yep, that's the effect we're looking for.
Really?
We're looking for, we are looking for an effect of our paint this is called a wet on wet. So we're trying to get our paint to kind of run together. Okay? Okay. All right. So we have our back hills colored in, right?
It looks so cool when you do this.
Yeah, it'll dry nicely. Okay, so we have our back hills painted in. We have it at this lighter gray, which actually is our black, but it turned out pretty nice and gray. And then we're going to do our middle hills, and even what I'd like to do is have them be like a purple. Okay, so that you can see the difference between the two. So grab your purple and let's get the front hills a nice purple. And I can go across my trees, which is fine. I mean my branches. And you can see your colors even like kind of running together. So let's get that purple on there. Wow, this watercolor paper really, really picks up the water. The water stays on here really well. So just go through, and the less water you use when you dip it into your paint, the stronger the color is. Okay, so here we go. Okay. All right, so we have our hills painted in.
Can we do the sky now?
You ready to do the sky?
Mm-hmm. Blue, I'm guessing.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna do the sky a blue. So rinse it off. You might be using for this one I'll use this paintbrush because you might be using this paintbrush. So I'll kind of go with you. One of my brushes got on here. Okay, so the sky, go ahead and you decide if you want it to be a lighter blue or a darker blue. I think I'm gonna go, let me see how the dark blue looks. Oh, I like that. I'm gonna do the dark blue. So go ahead and paint the whole sky in blue. See how easily it's just applying to the paper because our paper is so wet. Beautiful. And Sam, you don't need any more water. I wouldn't dip in your water anymore. So if you want it to be a darker blue, then make sure you don't dip it in your water because...
The trees.
No, we're not doing the trees yet. Hang on. Stay with me. Okay, so we're doing the background, the sky. Beautiful, Sam. I'm doing my sky. All right. So the colors are just kind of dancing in the water. It's a really cool effect, okay? So we have our 2 rows of hills. We have our sky, and now we're going to do the ground. Okay, so we're gonna do the ground like a brownish color. Okay.
Okay.
So go ahead. Well, what do you think? Let's talk about this.
Skin color?
Actually,
Like
talk
this?
about this.
This?
So,
Or
what
this?
color should the trees be?
Brown.
So if we want the trees to be this dark brown, should we do like maybe this lighter brown for right here? Let's see how that looks. It's always fun to just kind of play with it. Oh man, it doesn't show. That one's not really showing. Okay.
How about this color?
I have an idea. Well, dip it in, see if it shows. I don't think it's going to show with this technique.
No,
I think it's too
doesn't.
light. Okay, I have an idea. I'm going to improvise here. Let's do this brown. Okay, we're going to do this brown. And then what we're going to do is we will come back we're going to let this dry. And the next lesson, we're going to come back and we are going to paint in the trees and the shrubs. It's going to be a really short part of the lesson. And we won't do the wet technique.
So we're signing off right now once we finish?
Once we're done with this back here. And I don't know how your brown is, but I have to really, look what I'm doing, Sam. I'm barely even getting any water into this so that I can pick up a ton of brown. And that's working for me. Get it all into your background. And then I think what we'll do is we'll come back for this watercolor, to finish off this watercolor lesson with our paper totally dry, and then we'll paint in our tree on the left, our tree on the right. I need a little more water. And then the shrubs up front. What do you think?
Sure.
So this technique is called wet on wet. So it's basically getting the paper totally wet so that the colors can kind of run into each other. And you can even do something where you pick up the paper and you move the paper around and then the colors really swirl together, but we're not going to do that this time.
Well,
There's going to be another lesson that we're going to do with watercolors where we do that, okay? But we're not doing it this time. We're not going to pick up our paper and do that. We're just going to have it stay stationary. All right. I'm going to keep going. I'm doing around my shrubs. And even if it gets into your trees or into your shrubs, that's fine. Because the next lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to come back after this is totally dry. So at least a day has passed between this video and the next video. And then we'll come in and we'll do our trees without getting the paper wet. And then that will make it, if the paper is dry, that will make the color that we're painting in, it'll make it be able to be stronger and darker. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. And the next video is gonna be a really, really short one. But like I said, it needs to be at least a day after this video. So this lesson is going to be it's going to end up being a total of 3 videos. So we'll come back next time. We'll watercolor in the trees and the shrubs, and then we'll let that dry, and then we'll come back for a 3rd video where all we simply do is trace with Sharpie. Okay, so like I said, with every single video that we always do, you pause when you need to pause. Press play when you're ready to come back. This wraps up the end of this video. Sam's is done. I'm going to show you Sammy's there. And he's already signed off. Where are you going? Okay, he's going to go get some exercise. So we are all done. We will see you for video number 2. It'll be a very, very quick video. And then we'll wrap it up, like I said, with the last video just being of tracing with a Sharpie. So I hope you guys enjoyed this first part of the lesson where you learn the wet on wet technique. Really simple fall landscape scenery right here. And we will see you back for video number 2. Good job, you guys.